A man was driving a carriage to the state of Chu. He met an elder on the road. The elder asked him where he was going, and he replied, "Chu." The elder pointed out that Chu was to the south, yet he was heading north. The man boasted of having plenty of provisions and money, to which the elder remarked that his direction was wrong. Unperturbed, the man praised his strong horse and his fast pace. The elder warned him that he was only getting further from Chu. The man dismissed this, confident in his driving skills. Watching the man drive off in the wrong direction, the elder shook his head, lamenting, "My friend, first figure out where you're going." If you were living in ancient China and had received 300 taels of silver, where would you put it? In a cabinet? Under the bed? In the stove? On the beams of the house? Or would you bury it? Yes, burying it is a good idea. Just like this friend, he was very anxious, fearing that others might steal his silver. So he buried the silver. Wait, there's also a sign above it, which reads, "There are no 300 taels of silver buried here." Sometimes, in our efforts to hide something, we end up exposing ourselves in the process of hiding it. Two mountains in front of the house. An old man wants to move them. He had a discussion with his family. His neighbors say you are stupid. He said, "My descendants will inherit my work." Let's go. The mountains are finally gone. Luck follows the diligent. This year is the Chinese Dragon Year. Do you like dragons? This one? This one? Or this one? Meet our friend Yegong, who adores dragons more than anything. His house is a dragon's paradise. Pillars carved with various dragon patterns, curtains embroidered with dragon designs. His bowls, dishes, and even drinking vessels are adorned with a multitude of dragon motifs. The murals on his walls? Dragons, in all their majestic forms. And yes, even his clothes are stitched with dragon patterns. But one day, a real dragon decided to pay him a visit, perching atop his roof and speaking to him from outside the window. The sight sent Yegong scrambling for cover under a table, trembling with fear. Seeing his reaction, the dragon flew away. Remember, don't just believe what people say they stand for. Watch what they do when faced with the reality. Once upon a time, a donkey was brought to the land of Qin, an area that had never seen such a creature before. The locals, as well as the animals, looked on with curiosity. A tiger, upon discovering the donkey, was initially startled by its unfamiliar appearance and cautiously kept its distance. When the tiger finally mustered the courage to approach, the donkey, out of fear, let out a huge bray that scared the tiger away. But the tiger, observing from a distance, soon realized that the donkey's bray was its only defense. Understanding this, the tiger attacked once more. This time, the donkey's bray could not save it. The tiger had learned that the donkey's skills were limited, and the donkey met its end. In the spring and autumn period, ancient China, a Chu merchant sold jewels in Zheng. He obtained a precious pearl and decided to sell it in an intricately carved aromatic wooden box, hoping for a high price. At the market, the exquisite box drew much attention, and it was eventually purchased by a Zheng local for a significant amount. Pleased with the sale, the merchant was surprised when the buyer returned, hurrying towards him. Expecting regret, he was instead met with honesty. The buyer said, "You left a pearl inside. I've come back to return it to you." Please watch your back. In the heart of a sun-drenched forest, a cicada found solace under the cool embrace of a leafy shade, oblivious to the world beyond. Lurking in the shadows, a mantis eyed the cicada, its predatory focus so intense that it lost all sense of self, captivated by the prospect of its catch. From the azure sky descends a shrike, its gaze locked onto the mantis. In the sight of potential gain, it forgets its true essence, consumed by the lure of opportunity. This dance of predator and prey underlines a tale as old as time, where each creature, driven by instinct, momentarily forgets itself in the relentless cycle of nature. As the forest whispers back to tranquility, the leafy shade stands empty, a silent testament to the fleeting moments of beauty, danger, and forgetfulness that define existence. I didn't bring my measurements. A man from Zheng wanted to buy shoes. First, he measured his feet and left the measurements at his seat. When he got to the market, he forgot to bring them with him. After finding shoes, he said, "I forgot to bring my measurements." So he went back to retrieve them. By the time he returned, the market had closed and he ended up not getting the shoes. People asked, "Why didn't you just try the shoes on with your feet?" He replied, "I would rather trust the measurements than trust myself." A tips to sell my horse. Someone had a fine horse for sale. For 3 days he stood in the market, but no one took notice. He went to see Bowl, a legendary horse connoisseur, and said, "I have a fine horse and wish to sell it. For 3 days, I have been in the market, yet no one has spoken to me. I hope you will come to look at it, and even just a glance as you leave. I am willing to offer it for the price of a single day." Bowl then went to look at the horse, and after glancing back at it as he left, the price of the horse increased tenfold in just 1 day. Sometimes we are like gibbons. In the state of Song, there was a man known as Gong who loved gibbons and raised a group of them, understanding their desires. The gibbons also understood his heart. This passion led to the depletion of his household resources to satisfy the gibbons' wants. Facing scarcity, he considered limiting their food, but feared they might become untamed. He first deceived them by saying, "If I give you acorn, 3 in the morning and 4 in the evening, is it enough?" All the gibbons became angry. Shortly after, he said, "If I give you acorn, 4 in the morning and 3 in the evening, is it enough?" All the gibbons were pleased and calmed down. The essence of what was offered hadn't diminished, yet the gibbons' joy and anger were manipulated.